Thought for the day. Having compassion for yourself means honoring and accepting your humanness. Welcome to 7 Minutes for Yourself. I'm Christina Aina, and I'm so glad you've joined me for what I believe will be 7 of the most enriching minutes of your day. Let's take this time to reconnect with ourselves and improve our well-being. In today's episode of 7 Minutes for Yourself, we are reminded to respond to our own shortcomings with self-compassion. Have a listen.
Today I want to talk about one of my favorite topics in one of my favorite places, my greenhouse. So let's talk about self-compassion. When I first heard about self-compassion, I was like, this is idiotic. This is so dumb. I don't think I could even grasp the concept of being compassionate towards myself in a way that would work. Like, I just didn't know how to do it. And it wasn't until I had 2 kids, I was completely exhausted. I was stressed out and yelling at my kids and you know, not being the kind of mom that I wanted to be. And one day, I had just got the kids to bed. I was sitting in my daughter's room, leaning my back against the wall, and I was just completely distraught. I felt like a terrible mother. I was, making these mistakes and saying things to my kids that I'd never wanted to say. And I felt like beating myself up. I felt like chewing myself out and punishing myself and telling myself how bad of a mom I was. And I remember that night, I sat with my back against the wall, and I just imagined giving myself a little hug and saying, "You're doing the best you can. Keep trying." And instead of being harsh with myself, I was gentle with myself. And I felt a little bit of comfort and a little bit of hope and a belief in my ability to try again tomorrow. And I went to bed. The next morning I woke up feeling a little bit more loving, both toward my daughters and toward myself. I don't think it would have done them any good for me to beat myself up that night. And it certainly didn't do me any good to punish them when they were making mistakes. I mean, they were like 2 years old and 6 months old or something. So in that situation, self-compassion helped me be a better mom. First off, how do you treat yourself when you make a mistake or you fall short? Like, what do you say to yourself? Do you say things like, "I am such an idiot," or "What's the matter with me?" And we tend to be harsh or really punitive with ourselves when we make a mistake. How we respond to our shortcomings, our mistakes, our flaws, and our intense emotions is more important than if we make mistakes or if we have intense emotions. And we often treat ourselves with harshness, punishing ourselves with anger or self-hatred. And most of us do this as a habit, but berating yourself doesn't help you improve. And it can make all of us feel fearful and depressed. Would you ever talk to a friend who messed up the way you talk to yourself? Probably not. Instead of beating yourself up, we can train ourselves to respond to mistakes in a way that's courageous and helps us accept what we can't change and change what we can. In order to do this, we must practice compassion towards ourselves. Compassion and self-love are the best sources of long-term sustainable courage. And while it's easy to see that when we're interacting with others, it's often harder to apply that to ourselves. But compassion is a skill that can be practiced. So this video is a guided self-compassion exercise, a way to strengthen your ability to respond to painful emotions and experiences with love. So let's begin. First, notice that you're suffering. Instead of just ignoring your pain with a stiff upper lip, notice that you're hurting. You could say, "This hurts," or "This is stress." Maybe you made a mistake. You might feel frustrated and angry or sad. Just take a minute to notice what that feels like. Allow yourself to sit with those feelings without judging yourself or those feelings as bad. Number 2, acknowledge that pain, imperfection, and failure is a normal part of the human experience. We all mess up sometimes. Self-compassion doesn't pass judgment on those mistakes, calling them good or bad, and instead it says, it is what it is. The reality is, sometimes I make mistakes, and that's normal. Or you could say, that's human. Other people feel this way. I'm not alone. And number 3, Imagine how you would speak to a friend who is going through what you're going through. What would you say to them? Practice saying compassionate things to yourself, like, be patient. May I forgive myself? Keep trying. You can do hard things. Or, I love you. It may be helpful to put your hand on your chest and feel your heart. Some people may be afraid to try self-compassion because they think that it's just an excuse for bad behavior. Or they're afraid that being compassionate toward themselves might stop them from trying to improve. But self-compassion isn't just kind, it also helps us do better the next time. Self-compassion doesn't replace or interfere with change. It's not an excuse to make more mistakes. Instead, it's the gentle forgiveness that gives us the courage to try again, even if we might fail. Self-punishment, on the other hand, makes us more fearful and perfectionistic, anxious, rigid, and closed off to trying again. Self-compassion makes us more likely to grow and do better next time. So give yourself a break. Give yourself some love so that you can build up the courage to try again next time.
That concludes today's episode of 7 Minutes for Yourself. Please take a moment to rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts. Today and every day with your kiddo is a gift. Enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in.